Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here with the amazing Kimberley Hopkins. So I just want to introduce you to this incredible, I don't even want to say human because I feel like she's totally
Oh, stop it.
outside the range of humanness.
Oh, I've got this on today.
Oh, there you go.
Superpowers today.
Yeah, superpowers. That's how I feel about you. So Kimberley and I met a couple of months ago, or back in March, was it? Something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe in February. We sat next to each other at an event and we just clicked and we just couldn't stop talking about things. Weren't really talking about essential oils, but we decided to have a play date with our kids, and we live very close to each other, which was very much a bonus. And just started talking about the business, and before we knew it, here we are in May. Well, and by the end of May, you've ranked as premier in our doTERRA business, or in your doTERRA business, as a major part of the qualification for our business. We've put you in a major position because we just felt so strongly that you have so much to offer. So I know that there's people out there, and I would say even myself, I'm a little bit like, this all just seems so easy for you, and you are like this like superhuman person. So hopefully gonna, unravel a little bit about your yourself and how we got to that. But before we started, can you tell me what was it that made you decide, yes, this doTERRA business is for you?
Oh, wow. I think it was just that timing for us in our life. So we've just been traveling and oh, hello, by the way. Hi. So we had been traveling for 7 months as a family overseas, moving around quite a bit and just following our noses with that travel and really traveling intuitively. And we just were calling in what is the next thing for us. We'd had time as a family, time to set some goals for the future. And it was just incredible. Like, we got back, we just hit the ground running, moved into a house that we wanted to renovate, and then I started to take the next steps to sort of relaunch my business that I'd had for like 12 years with massage therapy. And I booked the Courageous Women's business event where I met you, Alison, and that was sort of like the beginning of it. Like, network marketing had been on our radar when we were traveling. We've spoken to a couple of people, and it was just like one little thing after another led to that conversation with you that day. And then when I got home after talking to you, I said to Ben, I think it's time we start using oils in the house. Like, we're back, and like I really wanted to explore oils a little bit more, because I've obviously used different oils over the years with massage therapy and in different ways in the house. And then I was telling Ben about you, and he was looking at me like a little bit, his eye, like he just looked like something was happening in his head. And I'm like, oh, he's just going to say like, let's just, see how we go. Let's like, it's obviously maybe like another expense right now or something like that. And he's like, no, this is it. This is what we've been calling in. Like, you can do that. Because I was talking about, your journey and what we'd briefly spoken about that day. And he's like, let's do it. Let's invite Alison over. And I said, oh, we're going to have this, try and have a play date or something. And then that was it. It just felt like it was just the most right thing for us. Yeah. Did I answer the question, or
Yeah, perfect. I love it. You did mention, I know this maybe is a little off topic, but you did mention like that you'd come back and you're sort of setting those goals. Like, how important is that? Like, how important is that in your structure of your life to date and for the future as well? Like, is that?
Goals have been massive for us. So what you mean, like how important are the goals? Yeah, huge. So we've set like goals previously in our life. Like, obviously, to go on a 7-month trip around the world with 3 children, we had to set goals. Like, 4 months out of us leaving, we had literally like, we had the year, sort of 2 year talking about it, the year out just before that, like booking the flights sort of thing. And then 4 months out, we literally had like a month on a big poster every day, what we had to do to get the house ready to rent, how to get our health, all boosted so that we could like go on this journey and just travel how we did. And little things like that, it's just so important. And I see now that, well, we, I suppose, proved it to ourselves that is important, and we apply that now in the business. So holding that intention of what we want and setting those like the baby goals, but also having that end result in mind of how we want that to look and how we want what the feeling is of that. Because the other thing too is, say for instance, when I think back to traveling is such a good example for us, because we set out with the intention of we wanted to be mindful, curious and happy when we traveled, right? And we didn't have anything booked apart from our first flight, a one-way flight to Asia, and just our first week, because we just wanted to like just wind down and just connect as a family without thinking about the next sort of weeks ahead. And we literally held the intention that we were supported, and we trusted in that the universe had our back, and it literally did. So for 7 months, it was one incredible thing after another that happened, the opportunities that opened up. We would be the night before, Ben and I, you know, and there wasn't much stress around it, but there was certainly times when we were like, oh, like, where are we going to go tomorrow? Shall we go to Vietnam or like Cambodia, you know, things like that. And we just booked a flight the night before, booked the accommodation. And then when we arrived in Europe, it was the same thing. And the contacts that you make, or the connections that come up with people that, you know, we sort of hadn't been in contact with for a while. It was just like, oh, wow. And then they'd offer us their house, or we'd go and stay with them and things like that. So we can see that when we really stepped into that and just put it out there that we are fully supported, and we held that so strongly every single day. And we've just applied that to really everything now in life. And not that we didn't before that. That was probably just an amazing example of how the power of intention really does work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we had a very positive experience with that, and it's just how we will probably always roll.
Yeah, I love that. Just believing that everything is fine and that you're supported. Like, that's so powerful, and like gives you the freedom, so much freedom.
Yeah. I think it builds the momentum too. You know, I think the momentum, you have, you know, obviously there are setbacks, right? Like there's always going to be little things that happen. It's not always going to be like, oh, you know, just living in like, you know, this bubble of stuff, because the growth comes when the setbacks happen too. So that's all part of it, you know. And even when I think of travel, sure, there were some things that happened that weren't like, didn't go amazingly all the time, but that's when we just stepped back, took a breath, and just reflected and, you know, took the inspired action. And that's what I think it is, like really taking steps from that place of tuning in again to, well, I suppose the why, like the why we were traveling, like I said before, the mindful, curious and happy, and what do we need to do to head in that direction, to keep going on this path to meet everybody's needs in our little tribe. So the same, I suppose, for our doTERRA business, it's just the same thing. Sort of can apply to anything really. Yeah,
absolutely amazing. I know with that intention just set you up so well for it. So reflection of why you're absolutely nailing it right now. Absolutely. So how has the doTERRA business, I know it's only been a short time, but how has that impacted you so far, like personally, as a family, you know, and with the oils?
Yeah, well, obviously the oils just have impacted us in so many ways, you know, in our family, in our home, with our health, emotionally and physically. So that's just been, you know, massive. And then the other part is, for me personally, the self-development, and that which we've spoken about, because that's been a huge thing that I've really had to embrace. So yeah, like knowing that we have these goals that we've set, and I feel like I'm here with where I need to be able to run a class, or to be able to, you know, do these sorts of things and speak, you know, have my voice and find my way with it all. There's been times when I've, you know, really felt that fear, and it's really just triggered so much within me. And I've just had to go back to my why, like even just the basics of my why, like doing this for my girls, you know, doing them to see their mum grow and to chase her dreams and our family's dreams. So that I feel like I've got a million, like you've seen our whiteboard why, but you know, that is just like maybe an essence of what is little things that just push me in that direction. to head towards, like, I've got to do this, you know, I want to do this for me, because when I do it for me, I do it for my family, my girls, my whole family, but for everybody, because it just shows people that you can do things, you can move outside of your comfort zone, and you really need to, like, I've leaned in and felt that fear and just taken a breath, and it's felt very uncomfortable at times, like super uncomfortable. But I knew that if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't actually take that next little step towards that goal of just running a class.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, what have you been so I know, like, people will come in and just see you as this, like, amazing person, and it just all seems very easy, but to know that there are those feelings, that's what you're experiencing behind the scene, and, you know, what are the things that have, like, caught your breath in that way, and then what have you done? Well, you obviously are saying with your mindset, but, you know, how have you pushed through that? Because a lot of people that I was absolutely petrified to run my first class, and I literally had sore throats for weeks. You know, every time I ran a class, I would have a sore throat for 4 or 5 days before that class, and it was just so clockwork that I knew it was it was me manifesting that in my body. So that's so common, but to know that, you know, what is it, how is it that you have moved through that, and what are your specific things that you've struggled with so far?
I think belief, like the limiting beliefs that I had about myself and my abilities. So feeling like the little thoughts that would come in of people aren't going to believe what I'm going to say, or that I don't know what I'm talking about. So those sorts of beliefs that I've really just sat with, and just shifting, like feeling them, shifting them, and then just doing what I needed to do to get to that uncomfortable place with that feeling, which is obviously running, like, you know, when I was sitting even with you and you would ask me questions and say, you know, you were running my class and you say, what was your experience with that, Kimberley? I'm like, that was overwhelming in that moment. So that was like my baby step to that. But the big thing was probably really when we went to convention together a few weeks ago, was when we saw that, you know, we knew this isn't just we're not doing doTERRA just for us, but we realized probably the massive impact that, you know, doing what we want to do with doTERRA will have in the world, right? So it was just sitting there listening to these people talking, like inspiring people, you know, one after another for 2 days in a row. It was such an emotional time for Ben and I that, well, I had a shift where I just thought, it's not about my self-consciousness. Like, it's not about, of course, you know, there's stuff going on, but it's so much more. It's, you know, I'm doing this just to get the message out, to speak about the oils because of how they're going to benefit people, and why people need them, and how I want to have these oils in everybody's home. Because, you know, when I just think of my children and how empowering it is for them to be taking, like, care of their health care, you know, and taking charge of that, and having these tools there that can empower them for the rest of their life. I want every child to have that opportunity. So it was like, I just had these little shifts in, it's, you know, moving away from my, like, self-consciousness of it all, of being able to get to that point of being able to run classes and speak to people, you know, just in the street, you know, in the shops or whatever, with confidence. And it was that it's not about me. It's about, that's why I'm doing this now. And that all happened very quickly. So I then said to you, I don't need you at the class. I'll do the next ones by myself. And it was really that, I think, was the biggest thing. Yeah.
I think you actually sent me a picture of you having just run your own class. I've just done it.
That was just that was like a few days after convention, maybe, or I think.
Was that what? Sorry, was that?
I think that was just a few days after convention.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And I was probably on that high, you know, that convention high.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, for sure. Like, it just shifted. It really shifted the energy of that all for me.
So what if there was someone who was, you say, like, on that verge, like that edge of, like, complete fear, knowing that this is what they want to do, like, they can feel it in their body, but, you know, it's really scary, and a lot of people back away. So what would you say, what advice would you give to that person standing there right now?
Yeah, I would just say, it's okay to be vulnerable. Like, it is so okay to feel what you're feeling and to just acknowledge it in that moment. And just doing that will move you through it.
Yeah.
And that it's okay. Like, you have just been incredible for me in so many ways, with just the words that you've said to me to help me just believe in myself. Like, just somebody there, someone just meant, you know, coaching you in these little things of, you know, it's just been so empowering. And those words, you know, like, you know, I believe in you. Like, I would say, you know, I believe in you. You can do this. You've got it. You've got an amazing gift to share with the world. You've got an amazing voice, and you've got a unique gift that needs to be shared. Like, you're doing the whole world a disservice if you don't share what you have to offer. And that's, yeah, so beautiful.
Beautiful. I love it. So what would you say to someone who's maybe not there yet, but just thinking about starting a doTERRA business in general? Do you think it's a good thing or not for everyone? What's your view on that?
I just feel like everyone should be doing this. And not just for a business, because obviously, you know, I think it's like the best business model in the whole world. I just think we all rise together, you know, so that makes sense to me. But for the personal development, you know, and just, I think if somebody is considering it, that just take that next step you have to take, you know, ask more questions, what needs to be done next. So when we said yes to this, it wasn't just for, like, we're maybe the sort of people that just felt it and we're like, yep, we're on. So we, you know, sat with you and we set out our goals for the following, well, actually, yeah, we have a sort of big goal. But we knew what the little steps had to be in between, and we did go for it. So I feel like actually we would like to share that with people. So Ben and I are going to do a video on how we map that out and what that required, the time it took, and what we put in to reach the premiere in 8 weeks. So that's something we're going to do soon to share with people. But certainly, I just think this is just such a heart-centered business. You know, it's really like, and I really got that from convention too, that it's a business of service, like just helping others. And the moment, often I feel like I can just cry, because I just feel so moved by people having these positive experiences from oils, that it just blows my mind. And that if I hadn't said that thing to that person, they wouldn't have had that, or maybe they might have come in another way at another time. But those little things, like, you know, that maybe never underestimate, you know, people should never underestimate the impact they can have in somebody's life by just, don't bite your tongue, you know, say it and start the business, you know, dive right in.
Yeah, I love it. Don't bite your tongue. So true. So good. So where to from now?
Well, we obviously have big goals, and we're in the middle of a renovation in our home too. So we're, you know, managing everything, juggling everything, but it just seems to be working. It's like taking on a life of its own, and we just seem to make the time to make this doTERRA fit in, and it just fits in. There's been no stress for us here at all with running our business. It's just been amazing. So it's all feeling we're on track, and you know, we would just love to be able to mentor others to obviously reach that first little goal, because I really feel it's that, because there's so much that comes up in those first few weeks. You know, once you get to that stage of being able to do your own class, then it's just you just duplicate it. You just keep doing the same thing and teaching others to do the same thing. But it's that initial part of building that courage, facing those fears, finding that self-confidence, and really just aligning more with the why more and more. You know, that just comes every day for me. I just feel like even my connection with my kids is better. Like my husband, everything in my life has completely improved, like unplanned, all of that stuff. So it's like this massive bonus. Like our whole life has shifted because we feel like we're doing this for a greater purpose. Like, it really is so much more than like what we see is happening.
Yeah, I
Right
so
now.
agree. And that's so aligned with how we were. I think we were around Elite Premier when I'd come back from a business training to Anthony. I remember exactly, we were in the kitchen, and I remember him just looking at me. I'd come back and I was obviously all inspired and like, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do. And he just said, he said, even if we made no money in doTERRA, it has brought us things that we will never lose. And it does. It just, really does have such a huge impact on who you are as a person and those relationships. I feel exactly the same. So glad that you're feeling that. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, this has blown my mind, all of this that is going on. It's just, I feel like I'm just riding this wave of, just like self-discovery in lots of ways. And yes, of course, some parts of that is a bit scary. You're just sitting here talking to you is scary, but I just know that it's part of that journey, and that's just the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I love that you just say yes, even though I know, like, interviews or videos or running a class or whatever it is, you're like, that feels really scary, but yes. And that's such a fantastic sign of that, standing at that edge and just going for it and taking action in the right ways as well. Doing the activities that are actually supportive of helping people to change their lives. So you are doing amazing things. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just think that, a big part of this too is self-care as well. I think obviously when I think of, when we felt life was already full, and then I'm doing my massage as well alongside this, which just really complements it well too, but it doesn't have to be that. And doTERRA, does obviously require a lot of hours, a lot more, more hours than maybe what we maybe thought in the beginning too, because we're really building that momentum. But that means that we need to even be more switched on with looking after ourselves, so that, sometimes I feel, are we still on?
Oh, yeah, got you back.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I feel like if I went all at this and didn't have time for the family, didn't have time for my other interests and my, health and fitness, then I feel like that all in that wouldn't be useful for me. Like, it would just be burnout and everything. So I think just being mindful that there's other areas of our life that we need to focus on, and whether it's, doing some yoga or meditation or exercise, eating well, it's finding that balance so that we can achieve those goals in a healthy way. And we're also enjoying, this brings so much goodness to our life, but also enjoying other things where it's not just all the business or, not all the one thing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because you do see that especially people that go fast, they will burn out. So to know that you are taking that into consideration from the start is just so powerful, because it just makes it so much more sustainable. And
I think
the whole model is duplication, and how you do it is how people will see that it's done. And so it's really so important to set that example. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah. Really, really good. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a lot of stuff. Even if it's just sitting in the sun for 5 minutes a day, breathing in the sun's rays, just doing that one thing a day that just nourishes your soul. It doesn't have to be like a crazy thing that is just not sustainable in itself. Just something little where, you're nourishing your soul, you're tuning in. And then I think the business for us has just brought even more of those amazing moments too within that.
Yeah, beautiful. You're so wise. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We so appreciate your amazingness, your wisdom, so kindly and generously sharing your journey as well, and expressing that, because that will so help other people who, thinking about it, or maybe a bit stuck, or, just in that arena, and just being a shining light and shining example of what can be achieved, but also how it can feel, and all the beautiful wisdom that you impart in terms of self-care as well. So thank you so much. So appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you for everything. Like, seriously, I think one of the biggest things is having somebody who supports you.
Yeah.
You know, somebody, you've been like this beautiful angel come into our life.
Vice versa. So very much feel that. Okay, well, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing your video with Ben on what you actually did and how you mapped that out, because that's going to be really powerful. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.